There's now less than 2 hours to go until polls close in the UK. 46 million Brits are eligible to vote in what's being dubbed the Brexit election. Let's go live to London now, where we're joined by Laura Jays. Laura, the leaders have cast their votes early.
In London, they did that about 12 hours ago, and since then, as you say, Pete, 46 million Britons are eligible to vote. And we're getting early reports that there has been a record turnout. Joining me now is Andrew Hawkins from Savanta.com Res, a polling company here in the United Kingdom. Andrew, a record turnout. Are you hearing the same, and what does that mean?
Yes, it's very clear from accounts on social media and from what you can see going out to the streets of London today that there are huge queues. There were great concerns that because it's cold out here that turnout was going to be very low, but the last time we had a December election was nearly 100 years ago. Turnout then was just over 70%, and I think today we can see that probably being surpassed. The main driver of turnout is, we know from academic research, is motivation, and clearly people are really taking the message that this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to vote for the future of the country that you want.
Is it just in London, or are we seeing this potential record turnout all over the country, and does it favour one party or another?
Well, I think both main parties are going to be pretty nervous. It is countrywide, that's for sure, and I think the Conservatives will be particularly worried. They think that they'll have more to lose because there's been a huge effort to try and get out the youth vote. Young people are much more likely to swallow the Corbyn message, to vote Labour, but I think there could be a sting in the tail for Labour out of this, in that we know that there are going to be huge numbers of people voting tactically, particularly Liberal Democrats, who predominantly supported a Remain vote back in 2016. And this is what this election is all about. It really is a battle. It's a rerun of 2016, of Leave versus Remain. And a lot of those tactical voters, I think, who don't want to see Jeremy Corbyn become Prime Minister, may well change their mind when they see these huge queues.
Well, let's talk about tactical voting and party tactics as well. I've been told by a Tory insider, for what it's worth, that Boris Johnson might be genuinely in trouble in his own seat. Is that a party tactic, given that I don't have to adhere to the media ban, or is there tactical voting, and will that potentially hurt the Tories?
Yeah, the Liberal Democrats in particular, and what they call the Remain Alliance, which is an alliance of parties that will try and produce a Remain win in each constituency. They've had what they call a decapitation strategy, which is to target high-profile individuals. Boris Johnson would be the cherry on top of the cake if they were to manage to oust him, but in order to do that, they're going to have to buck the national trend. The national trend is that the Conservatives are off a little bit on 2017, Labour's down a lot, and the Liberal Democrats are up. But the Liberal Democrats only got 4% back in 2017, so it's going to be very difficult to oust him.
But even if Boris Johnson loses, is that really cutting the head off the snake? Aren't there really plan Bs in place that have already been talked about getting him into the House of Lords? And some Conservatives, I might say, Andrew, might be happy with that result because they can get one of their other leaders in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird and wacky option, the House of Lords option. I think in practical terms it would be really difficult to do and justify to an already sceptical public. In all my career, I've never known Parliament to have been held in as low esteem as it is by voters at the moment. And the idea that you could sneak your leader who lost his seat in the House of Commons in through the back door to the House of Lords.
It's anti-democratic, actually, which is what the complaints have been made about the Lib Dems themselves in wanting another referendum. But let's not go down that rabbit hole. Finally, can I just ask you, have you ever seen an election where both leaders are so deeply unpopular?
This is a remarkable feature of this election. Boris Johnson is actually no more popular than Theresa May was in 2017. Her problems came later when she failed to deliver Brexit. And Jeremy Corbyn has
she only got a minority, I might remind our viewers.
Yes,
she fell short.
Correct. She fell short of a majority, which caused this problem in the first place. Jeremy Corbyn has gone from hero to zero. He was everybody's friend back in 2017, and his problem is not only is he deeply unfashionable, but he's suffered from some possible health problems. He's failed to control a pretty vicious wing of his party. There have been accusations that he's failed to tackle anti-Semitism and so on. And in particular, in Labour supporting seats in the north of England, he goes down, frankly, like a bucket of cold sick with his own voters. And I think if there's going to be one big story from tonight, it's going to be the rebellion of Labour voters against their own party. These are people perhaps whose families were regarded as being harmed terribly by Mrs. Thatcher when she was Prime Minister. And these are tribal Labour loyalists, and they're looking at voting Conservative for the first time in their lives.
Either way, it's the end of one of those men's careers, isn't it, tonight?
Yes, this is going to be curtains for either Boris Johnson or Jeremy Corbyn, and the possible outcomes are just too wide, even as a pollster, for me to speculate as to exactly what's going to happen tonight. I think this is the most uncertain possible outcome of that anyone would care to remember.
Well, with that visual about a cold bucket of sick and the popularity of Jeremy Corbyn, we wait with anticipation for the next 2 hours at least to see the exit poll. Andrew, appreciate your time. And Pete, as I say, just 2 hours to go to see before polls close. As soon as polls close, we will see that exit poll, and that'll be the best indication about how this night is going to unfold. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, so uncertain, as Laura reported a short time ago, that Boris Johnson, there is still a chance that he may even lose his own seat if there is a swing against that. Look forward to talking to you about that soon when Laura returns shortly. Laura, thank you, and stay tuned to Sky News all morning for more on the Brexit election, and be sure to join us, as Laura just mentioned, from 9 a.m. Eastern when polls close and our rolling coverage of the results begins.